Hello, my name is Mr. Wall, and this is a presentation on primary succession, the beginning of an ecosystem. Now, primary succession, it occurs on places that haven't yet had an ecosystem, where there isn't any soil, new rock formations, like on this volcanic island. Over time, a few things will happen to this newly formed rock. Wind and water will help erode or break down that rock, making sand. And then wind, birds, water currents, stuff like that will bring genetic material of plants to the island. The seeds, the pollen, everything needed for the plants to start reproducing on the island. Unfortunately for a lot of vascular plants, the plants with roots, there isn't any soil, so they can't grow yet. So instead, pioneer species like lichens are the first to really grow on the island. Lichens, they're going to be symbiotic combinations of algae and fungi. They'll grow on the rock. The algae acts as the producer for this very simple first ecosystem.
On the classroom delay.
They'll be taking in nutrients from the air, the water. They'll be creating things like sugars that will act as the energy resource for the decomposer of the ecosystem, the fungus. Now, the fungus, when it eats, it's a messy eater. It releases these enzymes to help break down the food that it's eating, the algae. And as it eats that algae, some of those enzymes will get onto the rock. And those enzymes will help break down the rock, just like the wind and water that we mentioned earlier. That sand, whenever decomposition's occurring in it, putting things like phosphorus and nitrogen into the sand, you're creating soil. And that's what that beginning of primary succession is. It's all about a lichen, the pioneer species, or the first species, making soil where there wasn't any soil before. Now, over time, as soil continues to form on the island, plants will be able to start growing. Those seeds that couldn't grow before, now they can start to grow. So you'll start to see simple plants like grasses growing on the island. Then, over time, as more decomposition occurs, the soil becomes more nutrient rich.
Attention, please.
I apologize for the interruptions. It's picture day. So as the soil continues to get more and more nutrient rich, larger and larger plants like these bushes can begin to grow. And as more plant life is growing on the island, animals are now able to start living on the island since they have a food source. Eventually, as the soil continues to enrich, as plants and animals die and decompose on the island, more and more varied plant life will be able to exist on the island. And with that larger variety of plant life, you'll see a larger variety of animal life. And when the island has kind of reached that point where there aren't a whole lot of new species coming to the island, and the plant growth has reached its maximum amount, that's what you call a climax community. It's where the ecosystem isn't really changing anymore, and you've got something stable, something that you can expect to stay for the foreseeable future, unless something terrible happens, and then we'll be talking about secondary succession. Thank you for your time.